now I'm going to ask you this because you've always said this and I've gotten this from you. You said the right to monitor one's phone calls is like the highest amount of was it probable cause you would need to
Yeah,
get that warrant to
it's at
tap
the
somebody's phone call.
yeah.
They know of multiple attempts and calls that he made. Oh, hey, he called Kalina 54 times after he got a new civil lawsuit last week. I
Yep.
don't know if his phone is tapped, but it seems like they know a lot. Do you think they tapped his phone?
No, no, and the reason why is because for a case like this that's historical, they're investigating crimes that already occurred. You're not going to be able to get the information that you need from wiretaps, and then on top of that, to do a
Wait,
wire.
wait. What about maybe a confession, an admission? Because I would think they would want to hear these conversations. To maybe he's calling them and be like, "Hey, you remember that one rainy night when we was all on the yacht and you know what I mean? Like you had 3 out and you was drenching baby oil. Yo, I know you was tripping in the morning, but you got to tell him you were with it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? He might say some things. You know what I mean? He might say some things that'd be like, okay, so he himself even is knowing that he was on some fuck shit. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, so we're at a crossroads here. Do you want me to explain the process of getting a Title III? Because if I explain to you the process to actually get a Title III, it'll make a lot more sense as to why that probably wasn't what they did.
I do want you to do, but I also want you to answer the question of, well, in a bail hearing, they have it so they have knowledge that he called 54 times.
Yep.
They have other conversations.
Yep.
Even though they could have gotten those conversations from those people because they eventually went to the grand jury. Clearly, they testified in front of the grand jury.
Yep.
But they know a lot of his phone conversations. They even cite him directly saying at one point, "Hey, I can't talk on the phone. My phone tapped." Obviously, they're not going to admit right now that they ever tapped the phones. But how do you think they're getting these information? They're not tapping the phones. And then, of course, you can explain on Title III. Go ahead.
Okay, because the things that you're mentioning, which you're referring to phone frequency and contact, that can simply be done through a subpoena. You can just do a subpoena to AT&T or whoever his phone carrier is, and they'll give you all the tolls. And you can see that he called these individuals on these days this many times, or a pen register like before. So the things that you're saying that they're collecting, these are things that don't rise to the level of a Title III.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
But I can
Okay.
give you a full thing on how, from A to Z, what it takes to actually wiretap someone's phone if you want me to, but that's up to you.
No. Well, maybe you could do a little bit of a hybrid. So you're back in your agent shoes. You're doing an investigation. A guy kind of like feels like the feds are closing in a bit, so he's trying to tie up his loose ends. How do you monitor that? And like how do you juggle it both like 3 ways? Like how do you juggle it by saying, "Oh, we need to take this guy in custody now"? Because who knows, he might be reaching out to people who you're trying to flip. You're trying to flip these people. He's reaching out to them, trying to offer whatever incentive, right? He's intimidating people, possibly. You know that, say you're working on the southern border, some of these people are prone to a lot of violence. They might be like, yo, if you're talking to feds, I'll kill the shit out of you. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And also just, it's at the point in the investigation where obviously, like, you have your evidence, which may be dated, but you are hoping this person fucks themselves. You're hoping that for whatever reason, they just get on the phone and just start ranting, or does something now to basically verify your case that is based on evidences that's from over like 15 years ago.
Okay. I'm going to answer this question. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take a quick piss and get an energy drink, and I'm going to knock this out the fucking park for y'all. All right? Give me 1 sec.
All right, it's all good.
I'll be right back.
All right, chat, while we wait for Myron to come back, hopefully you remember the question, but hopefully he got a notepad. He always be writing shit down. Chat, yeah, I can't call him my boy because I don't know the nigga, but this is how MDC Brooklyn, back in 2019, notoriously, there was no heat. There was no electricity. Apparently, the inmates were in sub-zero temperatures for 6 days. This was a really, dire situation. And people have just said, like, for example, here, people have just said this is a really horrific place to be. Now, if we're just expecting that Diddy's in the same type of place that every other inmate is going to be, maybe just on an isolation like wing, he is going through it, right? Also, what we do have to get to. Wait, actually, I got my little list here. Chat, don't worry. If you're rocking today, we're gonna be here for another at least 5 hours. So don't you worry. We'll cover all the Diddy stuff within the next 2, and then we'll rock out with a regular stream afterwards.
All right, I'm back. Act.
Okay. Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I do. First it was, what do you do when if you're listening to the phone and you hear him trying to intimidate witnesses or threatening violence, etc., and how do you operate? So to get to that point, you actually have to be on something called a Title III, and a Title III intercept is monitoring emails, phones, BBMs, etc., real time, and you're getting the content. So when they get a text message,
BBMs.
Yeah, you can probably.
That's like BlackBerry shit, huh?
Yeah, BBMs, exactly. A lot of Mexican drug traffickers use BlackBerry Messenger. Really big on the border. Yeah, they do, because it's one of the most secure phones.
Oh shit! Okay, BBM. All right, go ahead.
So yeah, a lot of the drug lords do it. But so a Title III is where you're actively monitoring and collecting information from a device, and you're getting the contents. That's the most important thing. You're not just monitoring it; you're getting the content. So if I wiretap you, Ack, and someone sends you a text message, I see that text message as well when you get it. If someone calls you, I hear that phone call, and I can listen to that phone call as you get it, right? So that's a Title III. Now, how do you get a Title III? The Title III intercept is the most invasive law enforcement technique there is in the United States of America, okay? And it requires a lot. I'm going to kind of go through what's required, and this is going to answer a lot of your questions. Step 1, you're going to need, and I've never explained this before, so your audience is going to get something fucking crazy right now. I'm going to go through how the feds do this shit, because I've done it myself. Step 1, you're going to need to do a pen register, okay? And a pen register is a trap and trace. That device, what it does is it, oh shit, look at that picture. What the fuck?
Yo, I think he's pouring champagne, but you never know. It might be, you know what I mean, carbonated baby oil. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck, man, this dude. Anyway, so step 1 is you're going to get a pen register, a.k.a. a trap and trace. That is a court order, right? So for that, you don't need much, like reasonable suspicion, right? So let's say I'm investigating you, Ack, right?
Yeah.
For drug trafficking. I know that you're committing the crimes. I've been watching you on surveillance, etc., and I know some of your conspirators. I put a pen register on your phone. Now I'm seeing who's contacting you at certain times, right? So when I'm watching you on surveillance, I know that you like to meet up with Tom on Tuesdays to pick up drugs. So not only am I watching you on surveillance, I'm also looking at your phone, who you're contacting, who you're texting, etc. Again, it doesn't show me what you're doing. It just shows me frequency. So when you're doing this, you're contacting these numbers. I subpoena those numbers and I identify another 3 individuals, right, that are involved in the drug trafficking, because you're calling them when you pick up, you're calling them when you drop off, and you're calling them when you're driving home. That's more than likely co-conspirators. Then I get an informant in. The informant talks to you and makes what's called dirty phone calls to you, right? And we need 2 dirty phone calls. Now, what we've effectively done is
wait. Hold on. What would constitute a quote unquote dirty phone call?
That is a phone call where the informant calls you and you guys are talking about criminal activity, whether it's drug trafficking, money laundering, etc. So, and the reason why I do that is because I'm making the phone dirty, so now I can start writing paper on it. So now I've established that your device is used to facilitate criminal activity. Now, I got my pen register, I got my dirty calls, and I got my informant proving that the calls are dirty, right? Because I have the monitor phone calls where you guys are talking about criminal activity. Now I start writing up my Title III affidavit, right? And that affidavit has to go from my supervisor all the way to the United States Attorney's Office, and it's got to go through something called OEO, right? And the Department of Justice. Then it comes back, and I got to take it to a district judge. This is a whole bunch of fucking work, right? Then after I get my Title III signed, I got to go and get interpreters to listen to the phone lines, and it's going to cost me about $50,000 to listen to one phone for 30 days. Now that's a lot of work. And on top of that, the reason why I know that more than likely they didn't do a Title III in Diddy's case is because to listen to a phone, you need active criminal activity right then and there to be able to hear what they're talking about. Now, let's go into a dream scenario and let's assume that they were listening to Diddy's phone, right? Now that we know that it's highly improbable that he had the Title III, let's go into, let's say they did have the Title III and they caught him intimidating witnesses on the phone. They would be able to use that as a separate crime, that he's calling individuals, threatening them. Now, if he actually makes a real threat where, I'm going to kill you if you fucking talk, blah, 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 you have to go tell that individual, right? Or let's say he threatens to kill somebody but with someone else on the phone. You have to go talk to the person whose life is in danger and tell them, look, we can't tell you how, but we know that your life's in danger. You might want to leave town, right? That's what they did with 6ix9ine. When they brought 6ix9ine in, after the Jim Jones call, we're going to super violate him, they told 6ix9ine.
I was just about to say that. As you're mentioning this,
yeah,
it is eerily, yo, chat, I'll give y'all a real quick story. By the way, please save where you're at in your explanation. I just want to give this real quick story about the 6ix9ine thing. So 6ix9ine goes to, I think, like Dubai, and he didn't come back for a long time. And I remember like people were like saying like he fired his team, something, he was falling out with Shotty. And I remember I talked to him and he's like, yo, bro, shit's just changed. And he said, yo, I'm gonna tell you something, and shit is crazy. I said, what do you mean? What's going on? Because I was also advocating. I'm gonna tell you why. I was advocating for his driver. His driver was a very nice guy. His driver was always the person when I went to a party, 6ix9ine be like, yo, so-and-so is coming to get you at the front. Like he always, the driver was almost like the runner. So when the driver got fired, the driver called me. And it was basically one of those calls to be like, yeah, I don't know, 6ix9ine, he's changed up on me. I know you're friends with him. Like, could you like, and basically was kind of asking me to like talk to 6ix9ine to get him rehired. And I was just like, yeah, I'm a good guy. Like, you've been pretty good to me. I talk to 6ix9ine. If he's tripping out, let me tell this nigga to calm down. I call him and I say, yo, bro, why you fire your fucking driver? He said, that guy's an informant. And I remember, I think I got like probably pale. Because everything I remember talking to the driver about, by the way, the driver was an informant. The driver was the one who had the car bugged. The driver was indeed an informant.
Yep.
The driver called me. I remember talking to him. Everything he was saying to me.
Hold on. When he bugged the car, that was a Title III, bro.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know how 6ix9ine found out, but he stopped working with him during the investigation. And I guarantee that call, the feds got that call somewhere where the driver calls me. And is telling me a version of the story for me to go hit 6ix9ine up to bring him back into the fold. 6ix9ine tells me he's an informant. I'm like, yo, bro, you're bugging the fuck. Like, when 6ix9ine told me, I thought it was lying. I'm like, yo, you're bugging out, but at least, I'm like, feds? He's like, that guy's an informant.
Wait, let me ask you a question real quick, because I want to make sure I'm accurate about this. Did the car belong to him?
The car belonged to the driver.
Okay, never mind. It wasn't a Title III then. They just bugged up his car, and that's called a consensual recording, because since it was his car and he owns it, and he's cooperating with the government. He could put cameras and audio in there without a Title III. It's a Title III if no party knows that they're being recorded. That was just a consensually modern one. My bad. I had to clarify.
But there was definitely Title III shit going on, because there were multiple recordings that got played later in court.
Yeah.
And
they had the main guy's fucking phone tapped. Oh my God, Jamel. His name was Jamel something.
Mel Murda's phone was tapped.
Yes, Mel Murda. They had him.
I believe a bunch of 6ix9ine phones were probably tapped too, because I ain't gonna lie, 6ix9ine was pretty hot at that time. When I mean hot, like, yo, he's the type of nigga. Like, I mean, he wouldn't say it to me, but he's the type of nigga get on the phone and be like, yo, what Trippy say online? Man, shoot that nigga. Like, he's that type of nigga. Like, he would just say it. You know what I mean? He's not the coded guy. Like, he's like, yo, we'll boom at that nigga. Like, like he's that type of nigga, right? Yep. So, like, I could imagine they were licking their chops listening to 6ix9ine on the phone. Like, that nigga was just on the phone wilding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely there was Title III. There was a guy that used to work for TMZ. I don't know if he does anymore. He used to call me. 6ix9ine used to leak shit to him to TMZ.
Yep.
And he told me, and he said, yo, they got word from like the TMZ sources that there was like this investigation, and I remember he said to me, he said, "Yo, Ak, I'm gonna be honest with you. From what I've heard, Danny's definitely on some wiretaps, and I know you talked to him, and I talked to him. Like, well, obviously we don't talk to him about crime, but it's like, yo, I guarantee we're on some wiretaps somewhere." And I was like, "Oh shit." I ain't gonna lie, I've never been happier that I don't talk about crime or do crime. You know what I mean? But yeah, all right, go back to your story.
Okay.
I was just saying, in that situation, they had an informant, and I think the informant kind of validated everything that could lead to them getting a warrant, because that was a driver who 6ix9ine would have bring other people around who would probably be in the car talking crazy to other niggas about crime, and they'd probably be like, well, this informant has corroborated that this guy's making quote-unquote dirty calls. Let's get this Title III shit going on. They're doing this shit now. This is in real time.